'Twas a cold winter's night, and without any heat, I wore Bombas socks so they'd warm up my feet. Yay, my feet cried, these socks are the best. So cushy and warm, I can finally rest. But don't rest, I said, there's more, if you please. Bombas also makes underwear, slippers, and tees. And for each thing you purchase, they donate one new to someone who needs it, so they're cozy too. Everybody deserves to feel good all the time, so gift Bombas this season. That's the end of this rhyme. Go to bombas.com/audio and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase.
Are you noticing your car insurance rate creep up even without tickets or claims? You're not alone. That's why there's Jerry, your proactive insurance assistant. Jerry handles the legwork by comparing quotes side by side from over 50 top insurers, so you can confidently hit buy. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Jerry even tracks rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Don't settle for higher rates. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/Acast today.
I'm Maz Compton, and this is Sober Awkward Podcast.
The kettle's boiled, Vic.
Great. Perfect timing. Just a dash of milk for me, please, mate.
Here you go. Shall we get started then?
Have you ever woken up on a Sunday morning and said, I'm never drinking again, and then found yourself waving $50 at a barman by happy hour?
Are you wondering why everyone else can stop at 1 while you head to a dodgy after-party with a weird bloke called Disco Dave? If so, it might be time to take a deeper look at your relationship with your reliable social crutch, alcohol.
On each episode, we'll investigate our own dysfunctional dealings with booze and find out if it's possible to stop this deeply ingrained habit before things get too messy.
Yep, we're going to open up a shame shed of humiliating drinking stories to help you understand why waking up from a booze coma each weekend with a kebab sticking out of your top pocket might actually be negatively impacting your health.
Hamish and I are here to delve into what it's like being sober, an unwanted warts and all look into why giving up those cheeky pints or putting down those mummy wines will make you feel happier, help your anxiety and mental health, and turn you into the most sparkly, authentic version of you.
Won't that mean I become boring though, Vic?
Well, Hamish, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm Victoria Vanstone.
I'm Hamish Adams-Cairns.
And this is Sober Awkward.
Maz Compton has been one of Australia's most popular media personalities for the past 2 decades. She's presented TV with MTV, breakfast radio, where she's half of the Paddy and Maz show on Triple M. She's the host of the wonderful Last Drinks podcast and the author of Last Drinks, How to Drink Less and Be Your Best, which I've read not once, but twice. Maz is a sober advocate and one of the loudest and most fun voices in the space in Australia. And most importantly for today, Maz has been sober since New Year's Day 2015, which means we are celebrating 10 years of your sobriety.
We
Maz.
are. Yeah, we are.
Wow. Welcome to the Sober Awkward podcast. Thank you for being on.
Oh, Hamish, thank you so much. This has been on my bucket list to be on the Sober Awkward podcast, so I'm very, very happy to be here chatting to you.
You have been on our list of guests we need to get for the whole time that I've been on the podcast.
Great. Well, we've managed to make it work today, so this is wonderful.
I moved back to Sydney to make this episode work.
I don't believe that for a second at all.
If I told you on January 1st, 2015, that a decade would pass and sobriety would become this sort of pillar of your life and your career, what would you have said to me?
Well, I was really hungover that day.
Yes.
So you would have had to have broken into my air-conditioned hotel room and turn off Netflix to get my attention, because I'd had a very large New Year's Eve, knowing that it was my last big drinking session for a while. So January 1, 2015, I was just more concerned about getting through January. Just get through the next few weeks, babe. That's what I was telling myself.
Yes.
We're going to give this a red hot go for a 4-week stint, 31 days, and then we'll see how things look then. So it was never I'm never ever drinking again moment. It was just more of a, I'm so over drinking and I don't know how to live my life without alcohol. So I'll give it a go and see how it looks and feels, and then we'll reassess. So I think day 1, I was probably just like, I hope day 2 feels better because this feels rubbish today.
So this is just a dry January gone right. Is that basically what happened here?
100%, yeah. And I'd done dry Julys in the past, but I think I really came at the January stint really differently. So in the past, I had done, and look, I feel like I had a pretty normal, quote unquote, normal relationship with alcohol in the sense that I drank all the time and that's just what I did. I never really questioned it until about 2014, right? So I was binge drinking every other weekend. When there was a celebration, I would celebrate with champagne. If it was a weekend, I'd have beers. If I was sad, I'd have gin. Like I had a drink and I had a thing for every emotion that I would ever feel or everything that I would go through. I feel like that's pretty normal. I think a lot of people use alcohol as this multi-tool of coping because they don't have any other skills. Mm-hmm. That was my one skill and I was great at it. But by 2014, I was like, this doesn't seem to be working anymore. So the dry Julys that I'd done in the past was giving myself a break and actually having a good enough excuse that felt okay for me to use in public where someone would go on the 3rd of July, do you want to drink? I'm like, no, I'm doing dry July. It was like this novelty thing. And they'd be like, oh God, like let's catch up in August. And I'd be like, okay, I'll ring you on August 1 and we'll make some plans. Whereas I came to January 1, 2015 really differently. It was a whole different thing in my headspace. So I'd gone through a really up and down year internally. So I was suffering really heavily from imposter syndrome, which if you're not sure what that is, I hope you never have to go through it. But I was basically doing this really huge, amazing radio job. I was doing Hamish and Andy's old radio show, their drive show, with the Dan and Maz show, which I was on at the time. And I'd kind of worked 7 years to get there. So there was a lot of pressure on this for me. And I woke up every morning feeling so inadequate and feeling like I didn't deserve the opportunity and feeling like I wasn't even really that good. And I woke up every day and I sort of went about my life not feeling like I should kind of be doing what I was doing. I felt like I was going to get found out. So when you start carrying all of those feelings around, like you want to escape your feelings all of the time. And so alcohol really helped me do that. So by 2014, not a great year internally, but doing this great mask of like, yeah, my life's amazing. And I'm on billboards and I got to interview Jared Leto. And, like my life was great on paper, but I kind of, and it's weird to look back now because I wish I could have appreciated it for what it was, but I couldn't because I was so wrapped up in my own baggage and stuff and self-worth issues, right? And I didn't know any of this about myself at the time. This is just only on reflection. But then in September, a really good friend of mine died very, very suddenly and it really shook me and I sort of spiraled. So the first thing I did when I found out that my dear friend Mark had died of a heart attack, I just dropped dead in his kitchen out of nowhere at the age of 45, is I went and I drank a bottle of wine. And then I was like, okay, that's not a great coping mechanism. Like, I know you're sad and your friend has died, but he's not coming back because you're drinking yourself into oblivion. You'll probably join him if you keep going in that direction, right? And so you've got all of these feelings and just like this really disconnected human going about her really amazing life. So feeling super disconnected from my life out externally. Then I had a really big tragedy happen. And that's when I kind of did the come to Jesus, look in the mirror moment. And I was like, Maz Compton, this is not going to end well if you keep going down this road. If alcohol is the one thing and the only thing that you ever go to when you're sad or excited or any other emotion in between, that is not healthy. So let's figure out something better to do with all of these feelings that you're having and shoving down. So coming into January, it was more of an experiment with my life than it was a break from boozing it up with the girls on the weekend. Okay. Like it was my whole headspace was different. My attitude on the 1st of January, albeit very hungover, was this is an experiment to see if I can get through a month without alcohol and how different I will feel because I'm so sick of feeling how I feel. And I have felt like that for most of my adult life. And my life was awesome. So I kept thinking like, imagine if my life was really crap. And then I had that added weight and all of that layering and compounded stuff that alcohol brings. So I was like, my life is really awesome, but I'm not feeling it on the inside. So let's change something. So I just changed my behavior. The whole month was about behavior change and seeing what I felt like and looked like at the end of it and then reassessing. So it was a really like I've said about 40 times now, it was a really different way to approach going sober, if that's what we're going to call it. I didn't even think of it like that at the time. It was like, here's the experiment, like be your own guinea pig and see what happens at the end of it.
So it was a life experiment month of which sobriety played a part in, rather than sobriety being the entire focus.
100%. It was more about like, so I remember thinking this, Hamish, and I don't know if you've had these thoughts when you were early on in your sobriety, but I was like, I'm going to die of boredom.
Sure.
Because all I ever do is drink with my friends. Like, how am I going to hang out with my friends? Like, what am I going to do with all this time? So it really became a month of like, what other things can I do? You know, like, and so that was exciting for me because I'm a real adventurer. So I would, I'd find all these like weird and obscure activities to do on a weekend to fill in my time. And then another thing that I realized was really smart now, but I didn't intentionally set out for this to happen. It just happened the way it happened. But I would like make plans with my friends for the mornings instead of the afternoons and evenings. So like, because if we're having brunch, like it's weird if I order a Corona, but if we were having, 4 o'clock late afternoon tea, that always turns into drinks.
For sure.
So, I guess to safeguard myself, I just said to my girlfriends who I'd usually drink with, like, hey, let's go for a walk in the morning. And like, no one's going to bring a cask of wine, are they? And if they are, then we really have a problem here, right? So I kind of like restructured my social life accidentally in that month as well by doing things in the morning because I would get up so early because I would go to bed so early because I was so sober.
Yes. I was saying recently I've never felt more sober than New Year's Eve just gone.
Yes.
I got woken up by the 9 p.m. fireworks. The 9 o'clock one's got me.
Yeah,
wow.
I know. My New Year's since that New Year's, so for the last 10, and my husband and I have been together for that amount of time now, which is lovely. So we're 8 years into our marriage, but we wake up for the sunrise on New Year's Day. So we go to bed. We don't even really watch the fireworks. We just go to bed at like a normal time, like 9 p.m. And then we get up at a 4:30-ish, which is normal for me because I do breakfast radio. But now I drag my 5-year-old son out of bed too. And I'm like, we're going down to the beach and we're getting in the ocean. And that's been a tradition for every year of my sobriety, which is really nice.
I love it. Okay, well, before we get into your wholesome New Year's days, let's just for a second ruminate in the not wholesome last New Year's Eve. Because
let's go there.
Books and podcasts named after last drinks. Your last drink was a pretty epic one, to be fair.
It was.
Take me to your last drink.
Okay, so my last drink was definitely a bottle of champagne, and I'm pretty sure I had a straw out of it.
Classy.
But this was after like a really, really long New Year's Eve lunch that started at Woolloomooloo in Sydney with a group of my friends who I used to work in radio with and my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband. So we had this long lunch. There was lots of wine. Then my friend, who I thought was drinking vodka sodas all lunch. Turns out she then at like 3:30 p.m. drops the news on me that she's pregnant and she'd be drinking water the whole lunch and was too scared to tell anyone that she was pregnant. So then I tell everyone that she's pregnant because I have had so much to drink. Then I got really emotional and I cried, but because I was so happy for my friend. Then we walked from Woolloomooloo through the city on New Year's Eve, which is just full of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And we went to Dawes Point where I had these VIP tickets to watch the fireworks. And that was when I definitely got refused service at the bar. But then I sent Glenn, my boyfriend, I was like, you seem more sober than me. You go and get the champagne.
Go get the straw.
Yeah, and get 2 straws. And so then he did, bless him. That's why I married him. No, and then we had the champagne watching the midnight fireworks. And that would have been the last drink consumed. And then it was like 4 hours later we got home because to get from the city back to Narrabeen where I was staying was just an absolute nightmare. We had to walk to the ferry, get the ferry, then line up for a taxi in Manly and get a taxi back to Narrabeen. And it was just some silly hour that we stumbled into a hotel and then that was that.
Wow. Okay, well, you gave it a good nudge at the end. And I was also surprised to hear your first ever drink, straight rum.
Yeah, not
in the deep end.
Not my best moment, Hamish.
Sure.
But I was 15 and it was It's not funny because I'm laughing because it's so embarrassing. But I was 15 years old and it was the after party for the Wiz musical, which I had been in, and I played a munchkin.
Of course.
In the land of Oz. Me and my friends, we'd all decided like, this is the night we're going to drink booze. And Mrs. Barnes, who was the director of the musical, gave us all this huge pep talk because there'd been talk because we were like, how do we buy alcohol? And there was this one kid who was 18 that a friend of ours knew. So we were like, Richard, ask your friend Naz. Naz has got to go to the bottle shop and he's got to get us rum. Like, how psycho were we? I was definitely spearheading the rum campaign for some weird reason. And I can get into that later because I think that's my mum's fault. Anyway, so Mrs. Barnes had done this big speech to all of the kids going to the after party. So this is before the last night of the theatre show. And she was like, you know, drinking's really bad and it's underage and you shouldn't do it and blah, blah, blah. And she was looking directly at me and I'm like, how does she know? Like, what? She got this place bugged? What's going on? So then, yeah, we finished the show and we went to, I think it was Gemma Cormack's house. She hosted the after party in Newport and we got this bottle of rum off Naz and one of my friends was like, you got to mix it with something. Like, nah, she'll be right. So I just had swigs of Bundy rum walking down the main road of Newport. By the time we got to the after party, I had passed out on the front lawn and I was vomiting. And so people, before the party had started, I remember being on the front lawn and I was so ill. And my friend Amy called her mum and was like, Mum, you've got to come and get Maz. Like, she's not in a good way. Don't call her parents. Like, it was just so humiliating. It was the worst. It was the worst. Do you know what's crazy, Hamish? I drank alcohol after that.
Yeah. Do you drink rum again?
Not for a while. No, not for a while. I think I switched to tequila for a bit there. But and every time I had like a really negative experience with a type of alcohol, usually a spirit, I would be like, oh, I'm not going to do that for a bit. And then I'd find something else because there's so many types of alcohol,
yes.
You know. But that's the thing. When I think back about my drinking behavior, and that was really the start of binge drinking for me, like it was the worst experience. I was so humiliated. I embarrassed myself in front of all of my friends. I humiliated my family because they found out because they had to come and get me. My friend had to cover for me. Like, it was just, there was no good. And yet you would think that you'd go, I'm never actually going to do that again. And then it was probably 2 weeks later. Yeah. Like, Samantha Brown had a party and I was like, okay, we're going to her party, you know.
Who's got the rum?
Yeah, it's insane to think about now. But anyway, yeah, that was my first.
I did hear a stat yesterday that the average amount of time it takes for somebody to like wants to give up drinking to making the decision to give up drinking, the average time
is it 20 years?
11.
Oh shoot!
11. You slightly overshot it, but yeah. 11 years.
Because I reckon I wanted to stop for about 20 years. I really do. No, it was 20 years that I drank. So yeah, 11 probably sounds about right.
Maybe the 15-year-old hangover Maz was like,
yeah, I'm never doing
it's
that again.
time for me to stop.
And then at 35, I actually finally did it.
Oh, you spoke briefly about 2014 earlier. So this was the sort of peak Maz year, the dream job. You met the man you'd gone to be your husband. You're interviewing the likes of Jared Leto. You've described your success as becoming a trigger for your drinking.
Yeah.
How was that the case?
So I can only answer that now because if you had have asked me that in 2014, I would have been like, I know what you're saying, but I don't know how to explain it to you. But because I've had so much time sober with my brain working properly and my feelings actually managed now, I can tell you that the number one thing is that I'm an introvert. And I never knew that until I stopped drinking. So because I think at a young age I had quite a big personality and I liked attention in particular moments. So I was on a TV show when I was a teenager and I loved that attention. And then I was really clever at school. And so I used to get lots of praise from teachers for being very, very smart, very articulate. And so I got trapped in that. And I thought that was me, an extroverted young woman. And what I realize now is that I'm actually an introvert. And what I need to disconnect, I need time out, and I need everyone to fuck off.
Sure.
If I may say. And so that is what I need. But because I've got this big personality and everyone loves a big personality, you all of a sudden I kind of got caught in this slipstream of extroversion. So I'm always, invite Maz. She's the life. She's so much fun. So I had to always be on but it's actually unnatural for me to be on like that all the time without being able to reset and regroup. So what happened, because I had this huge disconnect between what internally I needed to survive and what was expected of me, I drank alcohol because it just like stopped all the conflict. And that is actually what I did for so many years. So I would pre-game, I'd have a drink of wine before I went out to, this is, maybe during MTV days, I would have a glass of wine before any red carpet event because I was so not wanting to be there. I just wanted to be at home. And then I thought, what's wrong with me? I've got this great job. I'm invited to this amazing red carpet event. And all I wanted to do was like be in my pajamas with a hot water bottle on my couch, cuddling a pillow, maybe watching The Notebook and crying. And I couldn't. I had to wear obnoxiously uncomfortable high heels, some stupid dress that I felt awful and not comfortable, not like me in at all. And then I had to go out and talk to all of these people that I don't even care about. And so I did that for years and years and years and years. So the short answer is I'm an introvert, but I was living in an extrovert's world. And the only way I could do that with any level of sanity was to drink.
But you're still doing this for a job. So
yes, I am.
In your book, you describe it as being an extroverted introvert.
Yes.
So your job is built for extroversion.
That's right. But
talk and have a personality.
We only go to work for 8 hours a day, right?
So when you go home, are you like shut down?
My home is my sanctuary.
Yes.
And I mean, I shut down as much as I would include now, like when I say everyone go away, I mean, my family are allowed to be within close quarters of me. Like that refuels me. Like spending time with my son gives me the most amount of joy I've ever experienced in my life, right? So he's included in what refuels me now. Glenn, my husband, to a point, refuels me, but other times I'm like, can you sit on that side of the couch because I just need some space? And he, bless him, his like primary love language is physical touch. And so he's like, but I just want to touch you. But I'm like, but I just need some space. So that's been fun to work out in our relationship, is the whole like physical touch and space scenario.
Is there like a Maz doll or teddy bear that he no, damn.
There's just he's been amazing. I feel like we've figured the ratio out, and he knows, he knows, and then I know when I need to lean in. So we've worked that out, which is great. But before the family kind of came along, I do think it was time alone with myself. But here's the kicker. Until I was sober, any time I spent by myself, I'd drink because I didn't want to sit with the feelings and I didn't want to wrestle and unpack Pandora's box. I didn't want to do any of the work. I just was like, oh, this is all too hard. I'm living in this constant state of conflict. My cortisol must be like Olympic gold heights, like the amount of stress hormones that I was just living in just to get up and do my job. That was then. So now, first of all, I know, right? And knowledge is power. So I know myself so much better. So I know what I need to be able to come to my job and be as extroverted and as wild in the eyes as I need to be. And then at 10 a.m., the microphone goes off and I kind of do a bit of high-fiving, a little bit of office banter, and then I go pretty much straight to the gym with headphones on and I don't talk to anybody. Then I'll go home and have lunch, and then I do have a bit of downtime. And during that downtime, I can do weird stuff like junk and art journaling, or I can walk my dog, and he's great company too. And those are the things that I think fulfill me to the point where I can come back in and do this every day and not feel like I'm going crazy. So I figured it out. It took a while. It took a long time, Hamish. A long time of me going, this is so weird. Like, I love my life, but I hate my life. What's going on?
I bet. At some point, it feels like most people's drinking goes from like really fun and good times to then potentially a problem to then like deceits and lies.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Was there a moment when you were like, oof, I'm now hiding this habit?
Yes.
I'm now lying to the people I work with
100%.
Or partners or live with. What was that moment?
So probably, if I'm being honest, fun fact about me is I'm divorced. So
that is a fun fact.
Fun fact, super fun fact. My therapist thinks it's a fun fact too. So I was married to someone and that was a very bad idea. And so when I realized that was a terrible idea, I decided to get out of that relationship. And so I ended the relationship And it coincided with me being offered a breakfast radio show in Adelaide. And I said, yes, thank you so much. So I was able to get out of this relationship, go to a brand new city, which I thought would be really therapeutic and great.
Yes.
But what I realized is I took all of like my heartbreak and all of the trauma from that marriage with me. And then I just drank heaps and didn't talk about it. So that's fun. That's why it's a fun fact. But in Adelaide, I was away from my closest friends and family, and I rebuilt a version of Maz that suited that job and being like, I was the new single girl in Adelaide, right? So I created this character in a way, and I was able to play that character really well, and no one in Sydney, no one knew a thing. So it definitely started there where I was kind of double lifing it a little bit, where I had this Adelaide version of myself where no one really knew about my ex and all the things. And then I had my Sydney life where, I'd kind of come home and they didn't really know about my Adelaide. And I kind of liked that for a while, but it doesn't really work.
Doesn't last.
Didn't last. So it definitely started then. So that was in 2011, I think I moved there. And then it just progressively kind of got worse. Like, as in, when I say worse, I mean, I think I just accepted the fact by 2013, if I had a drink, it would probably just end up a bit wild, right? So, and to the point where I didn't trust myself with alcohol. That's where it got to. So it wasn't so much that I lied, but I was definitely not very forthcoming with my relationship with alcohol. So I wasn't honest with myself about it 100%. And at the time in 2013, I'd moved back to Sydney. I was living in a house full of guys. I had 4 female flatmates and we called our house the Lion's Den because it was on Lions Road in Drummoyne. And there was just a party every other night. Like it was a crazy time and it was a great time. But that was definitely a time when I'd started making up excuses to get out of going out. And that was a bit weird because I loved going out. But then I'd be like, oh my God, I'm just going to lie and say that I've got some interview in the morning and I can't go out. So then I just stay in my room, right? So those sorts of things like that, it was quite deceitful. I don't think any of my friends would care that I'm admitting that now, but that was how I was surviving that year. And it's because I knew that at some point around alcohol, I would either be sent home or taken home by a friend or be told, okay, you've had enough now. And I was sick of those moments. So I think I was trying to like help myself by not going, but that didn't solve any of the problems because then eventually I would get bored and go out anyway.
Well, also your body started to deceive you. What the hell was going on with your eye, Maz?
Oh yeah, I had this weird, so this was back in Adelaide. This was so funny. Are you talking about, this is in my book. So my left eye flared up, or one of them, I've only got 2. One of my eyes flared up when I was living in Adelaide, and it was like early in the morning. I got into work, and I wasn't wearing makeup at 4:30 in the morning when I was getting into the Adelaide breakfast show. I'd maybe put some slap on if I had to have a photo taken or whatever. So I got into work, and my co-host was like, "Whoa, what's happened to your eye?" And I'm like, I hadn't even looked in a mirror. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, he goes, "You literally look like the sloth from Goonies." Like it was, "Hey, you guys," it was so bad. So I went to the doctor, and the doc did a couple of tests because like I think it's an allergy, and then we did some testing, and he was like, yeah, the diagnosis is that you've got like a preservative allergy. You're allergic to preservative 101. It's one of those things that lays dormant and then it might just flare up if you have like a ton of that preservative. And I'm like, well, what's it mostly found in? And he said red wine. So then I started drinking Sauvignon Blanc and my eyes were fine.
And that is health advice from Maz Compton if the same thing happens to you.
But it's also in soy sauce, can I say? And now, if I have soy sauce, my feet, underneath my feet get super itchy. The arches of my feet feel like they're on fire. So the allergy to the preservative is good and well, even in sobriety.
So Adelaide is when you stopped drinking pints of soy sauce as well.
Yeah, I did.
Your soy sauce sobriety.
I parked that habit there in Adelaide. It stayed right there.
A point that I always try and emphasise on our podcast is the idea that like going sober solve lots of problems, but doesn't solve all of them, and it isn't immediately life is better.
Yes.
You wrote that like the first 2 days were good. Well, probably the first day was bad because you were hungover, but then you had 2 good days and then it got hard.
Yeah.
What shifted? Like, what was those first few days or even that first month like for you?
Well, I think the first couple of days it's a real novelty because you're like, yay, I did it. Like I did a whole 24 hours, like go me, and you're so pumped and you're like, I've done a thing. I didn't have a drink and I said I wasn't going to. And it's kind of easy to do in the first few days. But then like even in the first week, like someone's going to be an asshole, and then that's when usually you go, well, someone was rude to me. So I will have a glass of wine now. And now you've taken away that option. So that's when it can get really tricky because then you're like, all you're ruminating on is out. You're like, but I said I wasn't going to drink, but I feel like having a drink, but I don't want to. And then you just like, it's weird because you feel like the only thought you can have in your brain is don't drink, don't drink, don't drink, don't drink. And that's not healthy to be like that. So I guess.
Thank you for calling the Bombas Comfort Line. Bombas make socks, slippers, tees, and underwear made with the highest quality materials. Press 1 for comfort, 2 for style, 3 for donation. You chose style. Bombas is styles for whatever you enjoy. You can run in Bombas, lounge in Bombas, dress them up, dress them down, but always give back in Bombas. Because with every item purchased, another is donated. Bombas, comfort worth calling for. Go to bombas.com/audio and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com and use code AUDIO.
Are you noticing your car insurance rate creep up even without tickets or claims? You're not alone. That's why there's Jerry, your proactive insurance assistant. Jerry handles the legwork by comparing quotes side by side from over 50 top insurers, so you can confidently hit buy. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Jerry even tracks rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Don't settle for higher rates. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/Acast today.
First of all, I will say it is really hard. And I think there are some people that are like, I gave up booze and it was easy. I'm like, well, that's great for you. Like then that I'm so happy for you. But for the majority of people, it's going to be bloody hard because it's probably taken you 11 years to get here, right? So think about all the time you spent in your adult life drinking. It's not just all of a sudden magically going to be easy when you stop drinking. It's going to take, it's like a heartbreak or a breakup, right? If you're in a relationship for 2 years, it's going to take you maybe another 2 to get over it. So if you've been binge drinking for most of your adult life, like it's not going to just be 3 months later and everything's going to be fine. If you are thinking of going sober, like please have this in your mind that it's really hard, but it's so worth it. And if you can simplify, because one thing I learned to do quite quickly for my own sanity was to simplify all of the things that were going on in my life on a daily basis to just this. I'm just not going to drink today regardless. Mm-hmm. Insert anything here. Like if I win the lottery today on day 4 of me being sober, I'm not celebrating with champagne because alcohol's off the table. Mm-hmm. And if you can truly not make it an option for yourself, there's a lot of freedom and relief that you can find a lot sooner than what I did because you do go a little bit insane if you don't have that tool with you. It's like if you decided to be a vegetarian. I don't know why you do that, but let's say you did. You're like, I'm going to be vegetarian for health reasons or whatever, save the cows, blah, 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 for like 6 months. So all you're going to do when you go to a restaurant is you're just going to look at the vegetarian options, right? You're not going to look at the beef ragu because that's stupid because you can't have it even though you really, really want it because it's so good, but you've decided that you're saving the cows. So you just look at the eggplant and you go, that is my option. And then you can appreciate and be grateful for the 3 things on the menu that you can have that are going to be good for you than the 40 things that you've decided that you're not going to have. If you can adopt that with drinking. And it's so if you do go to a bar and there is a wall full of booze, but there's also the soda stream, it's like that soda stream's your best friend.
Yes.
Tap into the soda stream, guys, and a little bit of lime in there and a bit of ice and you're going to feel fancy, put it in a fancy glass, stick a cocktail umbrella in it and you'll feel great. But I think that's really important and it took me a little while to figure that out. But once I'd landed on, okay, no matter what, regardless of what happens, I'm just not going to drink, it simplified all of the manic ruminating that I did of like, but I'm not drinking and I said, and can I keep doing it? And that's exhausting. Like that was so exhausting for the first few weeks.
You mentioned earlier that September 2014, your manager, Mark Byrne, passed away unexpectedly. And really, judging by your writing in the book, he was more than a manager. He was
he was
very
a good
close friend.
Yeah, very close friend.
And you write about it beautifully. And obviously that event led to a more extreme version of drinking, at least in the immediate aftermath. So what I guess I wanted to know is, how have you dealt with grief since your sobriety?
Well, that's a great question, because what I will say is when you get sober, it doesn't stop people that you love dying unexpectedly.
Yes.
Because that is just a part of life. And I sadly I've had a lot of practice in the last few years. I've had a lot of grief. My dad died. I've had 2 miscarriages. There's been a lot going on. One of my best friends from childhood died of cancer. There's just a lot of grief. And so the way that truly my answer to you is I went to therapy. So when Mark died, I had 0 tools on coping with sad moments. I didn't know how to deal with loss. I didn't know how to deal with myself. I didn't know how to cope with any of those big feelings. But now, like when my dad died 2 years ago, it was really, really sad. Like I was in a hole of grief, but I managed it so much better and I allowed myself to be sad. And I think when I was not sober, I didn't want to be sad because that's vulnerable or whatever. Yeah, I guess to answer your question is I've let myself feel all of the feelings and for as long as I need to feel them. And so that's a really big one. And having a therapist and verbally processing that has been really important to me. I'm a verbal processor. I don't know if you've noticed. I like talking. And so and I also write a lot too, but I found like with dad especially, there's a beautifully complex relationship, daddy-daughter relationships. Ours was one of the more complicated ones. And so to find peace through all of that about how he died and where and when and all of that took a lot of work, but I had so many more tools than what I had 10 years ago, right? Or 8 years, whatever it was. So the biggest one for me was finding a safe place to just talk and let it all out and actually just be sad and be angry and be all of the things that I needed to be that you kind of carry through when you go through grief. And then 6 months later, my friend Matt died, and that was a whole other different kind of grief, but like still really sad and like compounded. Like you lose 2 of the men that you love the most in your world within 6 months of each other, and you just go, well, that's really hard. But I do feel like I managed it really well. I'm proud of how, I am still getting through it. It's still hard, but I'm getting through it. And I don't think I was ever under the illusion that because I got sober, like my life's going to be amazing. I feel like from 40 to 44, I'm about to turn 45. From 40 to 44 were literally the worst 4 years of my life, honestly.
And they were all sober years.
And I was 100% sober and I never once thought I should have a drink.
It's a hell of an achievement.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't look at it like that, but because I'm just getting through it. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm still kind of on the back end, but it is interesting where those really dark days that I thought I had, they were not anything really compared to what I recently have been through, but I am so proud of how I have forged forward and found, there's no answers, but there's at least I have an internal peace about how things played out, if that makes sense.
I think what you just described is the goal for most people that go sober, which is, can I go through the worst stage of my life and not even think about having a drink? I think lots of people will go through the worst stage, think about it and resist it, and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But it not even coming into your brain.
Yeah.
That's what we're all aiming for, isn't it?
There's so much freedom in that. And that's just a choice, right? Like that's a choice I've made every day for 10 years. So it just becomes, it's just who I am now, I guess. It just becomes you eventually at some point.
Well, we're speaking about relationships. I feel like whenever anyone goes sober, relationships change.
Yeah.
I know that you had a few work colleagues go, great, call me when you're drunk.
Seriously.
I don't want to talk to sober Maz.
Yeah.
I always think, the most important relationship anyone's sobriety is either their partner or the person they live with, people that you see every day.
Yeah.
Your husband is sober.
He is.
What role has he played in this whole
Much to the disappointment of his football club. That's a really good one. So Glenn, when we met, he wasn't a big drinker at all. Like he grew up in a very religious family and he's just not a party guy, which is why I loved him so much from the get-go. I was like, oh, you're so refreshing. He wasn't a big drinker at all. I told him when I had decided that January 1 I was going to have a break from drinking. So I was living in Melbourne. There's another thing. We were in a long distance relationship for the first 6 months of our relationship, so he didn't really know the extent of my drinking until I rang him. This is maybe 3 weeks after Mark had died. And I said, hey, I think I have a drinking problem. And he was like, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, we gave it a good nudge, but like, really? And I was like, yeah, let me fill you in here. And I was like, so sorry about like kind of lying to you for the last 6 months. I said, but I'm ringing you to let you know that I've decided to not drink for the first month of 2015. And how do you feel about that? And it's okay to dump me if you want to dump me. Like I just put a disclaimer in there to make it easy for him because I thought this guy's going to be out. And he was like, that's great. He's like, what do you need from me? That was his response. Best response ever. I was like, oh, I just need you to like not judge me and just maybe give me water if I ask you for a champagne. He was like, cool, that's done. No worries. And then it was kind of bizarre timing, but I got transferred my job from Melbourne to Sydney. He was living in Sydney. So we had a bit of a discussion about if this relationship keeps going the way it's going, which was really which was new for me, being in a nice, stable, lovely relationship. I was like, what is this? I'm not being abused. That's weird.
What's the catch? What's wrong with you? What are you hiding?
I know. So then I got moved to Sydney, and so it's like, okay, here we go. Like, here's, if you're looking for a sign, I think we just saw the green light from the universe on our relationship. And so I moved to Sydney and then like 2 weeks later quit drinking, and it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. I did the opposite of what I did in Adelaide. I moved to Sydney. I moved into a new apartment. I never had a drink in there. So that was really nice. He had maybe had like 3 beers that year with friends. Like that's it. But in October, he was like, hey, he's like, are you ever going to drink again? And I was like, I don't think so. And he's like, okay. He's like, well, I guess I just quit then too. Because he's like, the only person I want to drink with is you. And not all the time. He goes, but if we go to the Blue Mountains for a weekend, I'd love to have a glass of red wine with you, but you're not going to I'm not going to have red wine. And he was like, okay, well then I won't drink either. I think he had one whiskey with my uncle a couple of years into that and then was like, that was really crap. And he used to love whiskey. So yeah, and he hasn't had a drink since then either. So nearly 10 years for him.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
That is what dream partners are made of.
I know. And I feel so lucky because I know there's a lot of people that are in relationships where their partner's like, oop, that's not for me.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would have gone. But like I said, he wasn't a big drinker at all. So I wasn't coming home and he's on the couch with a glass of red and like, oh, so, like it was never, I'm just really lucky that it was really great timing and he was just super supportive. And like mum on the other hand, so mum and I used to love a tipple together and I blame her from the rum choice when I was 15 because she used to have a drink because she's from Trinidad in the Caribbean and they had a drink called Punch a Creme, which is like rum and coconut cream. It's like so amazing. And I definitely had one of those when I was a teenager that I don't think I was meant to have. But anyway, Mum and I used to love wine together. We'd always have Savvy Bees together. And I rang Glenn when I said I'm going to stop drinking. P.S. I've got a drinking problem. I rang my mum. That was a tough call. I was like, hey, Mum. And she's like, hi, darling. I said, I don't think I'm an alcoholic. That was my opening line. And she was dead quiet. I was like, but I definitely think I have a problem with alcohol. And she's like, what are you talking about? And then I sort of went into the story. I was like, since Mark died, like it's actually kind of escalated and probably actually been escalating for about 6 years, Mum. And she was like, wow, because you've hidden that really well. I'm like, I know. And she was like, what do you need? I'm like, when I come over, don't give me wine. Like just, she goes, easy, no problem. And Mum still has the odd wine. She just has it with her friends who are her age instead of me. And we just have tea together.
Well, I heard you describe it in your book as I didn't have a drinking problem, alcohol had a drinking problem with me.
Yeah.
Alcohol had a problem with me. I think, well, that's a very nice way of doing it. It's like a more forgiving way of.
Yeah. Well, look, alcohol is the actual problem.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and if anyone's listening to this and they're like, I really want to go sober, like, you're not the problem. Like as soon as you eradicate alcohol, you'll realize that you're not the problem. The alcohol is screwing everything up for you. And once you get rid of it, life does get better. It doesn't mean hard things won't happen, but your ability, like the capacity you have to take on life stuff when you're sober is so different. Honestly, everyone just needs to do it.
I think you're an example of this. Okay, so lots of our listeners will get in touch. They go, I got sober and then I had this clarity of thought and then I quit my job and I did something I've always wanted to do. You kept your job and then just added on 3 jobs from what I can tell. So you got into fitness, so you opened a gym. And you've always written, so you wrote a book. And you do radio presenting, so you started a podcast.
Yeah, I do that.
You feel like we all have a lot of time on our hands when we go sober, even parents.
Yeah.
But holy hell did you embrace that spare time?
Yeah, I think that's probably a coping mechanism.
Well, it's a healthy one.
Ish. I think I've got it in a lot better balance now. But I do think that is definitely something. I've always loved the work, so whatever that is. And so I've had this weird career where, I don't know, people just offer you jobs and so you go, okay. And so then you have heaps of jobs, right? But I think the working, like busy as a badge of honor thing, I definitely only recently took off and I was like, I don't need to do all the things now. I can actually just, I definitely have been too far down the road where I have too much on my plate. And I think that is just a habit that I learned at a young age so that I didn't have to deal with my feelings, right? So I kept that habit even in sobriety. But what I've managed now is I've managed to actually say to myself and know truly that no is an appropriate response and that I don't have to do all the things all the time. And that's in the last 10 months. And I'm still learning. I stuffed it up over Christmas a little bit. I took on too many things. And so while that's lovely and thank you, and I love doing radio and I love writing and I love hosting my podcast, I have found that all bar the radio stuff because that's my job that earns me income. The other stuff is really seasonal and I've ended those seasons. We had season finales and now we're just doing one job at the moment, Hamish. Yeah. And it's really nice. And then I've got time for my mental well-being and that's been my priority in the last couple of years, especially with all the grief and all of the trauma. I've had to really make sure that my head's okay. And the way that I do that is I've realized is not doing a billion things and saying yes to everything. It's actually protecting myself and saying, actually, no, you're not more important than my headspace right now. So that's the tricky one because it is great that I achieved all these things and I'm so proud of the books that I wrote. I loved the gym that I own. All the things that I did were wonderful and ticked so many boxes at the time. But there's also a time to go, that's enough now. And so we sold the gym and we're not writing any books. And I'm not doing my podcast for now. I'm just giving myself a rest. And that's something I've probably never done before. And when I say rest, I work full time and have a 5-year-old and a freaking dog. There's no actual rest, but you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah, I am not yet where you've gotten to. I feel like growing the skill of saying no.
It's so hard.
I think particularly for overdrinker, for some reason, most people that I seem to speak to that drank a lot are people pleasers. We're yes people.
It's people pleasing.
Yeah.
It is, especially the people who stayed the latest at the bar because you didn't want to be, and you get hectic FOMO. You don't want to miss out on a single thing. And I think it's probably part of the personality trait that maybe alcohol sucks in where you're like, I don't want to miss out on anything and I'm an overachiever and a people pleaser and all of these things that we think are good, but they are not good because they're detrimental to our own health in the end. So you've got to learn to balance it out. So that doesn't mean I say no to everything and I'm like a full recluse. It just means that I'm having this conversation with you because I thought about my response before I gave it to you as a yes of, do I really want to spend my time talking to Hamish about my sobriety? Is that something that I really want to do right now? And the answer was yes. There'll be other people where I'm like, guess what? I'm not sitting in a room with you because that's just not for me for right now. And that's okay that I said no.
Thank you for saying yes.
That's okay.
I want to speak briefly about your book because when anyone ever goes sober and they reach out to me, I encourage them to combine as many different tools as possible.
Yeah, get them all.
Get them all.
Yeah.
And that way you've got a better chance of surviving this
Get them all and the bonuses and all of the subscriptions and just get it all.
Yes.
Because you know what? When I stopped drinking, there was nothing.
Well, your book is sort of a beautiful combination of most of the tools that I recommend.
Oh, thank you. Yay.
So it's got loads of inspirational stories from people that you've had on your podcast, plus your own stories, obviously, throughout it. You've got scientific research, how it affects cancer, sleep, relationships, careers, exercise. You've got a day-by-day guide. You've got masses of advice and plenty of humour.
Oh, thank you.
And one important thing that comes up throughout the book is how integral the role of writing is, both to you growing up, but specifically during sobriety, and that obviously would become the book.
Yeah.
What made you even think about, right, I'm gone sober, I want to journal this thing.
Yeah.
I need to write and get it all on a page.
So I blame Jesus for this because I grew up in church, Hamish, and so I went to a bit of a happy clappy church. which that's been fun to deconstruct my faith actually in sobriety, because there's a lot of it that I'm like, oof, I think that's a bit of BS. But then there's a lot of it that I'm like, that is really helpful and I'm going to take that with me. And one of the things that I just from going to like women's conferences as a teenager, which that doesn't make any sense. We're going to go to the women's conference. I don't even have my period. But anyway, I remember you would always talk about, they'd give you these journals and they'd say, just write down what's in your heart. You can feel spiritually connected to the Lord. But I used to write all the time as a young woman. And in my own time, it's this thing that I did. And now I realize it was a way of processing. Mm-hmm. And so I would just write down like dreams that I had or things that I thought or whatever. And I never really thought much of it. But I've always pretty much, not a dear diary, but like I've kept a kind of journal of just my feelings, I suppose, in a way, on and off over the years. So when I decided to go sober, I knew the quickest way to get to know myself because I felt really lost and disconnected from me. I didn't even know who I was. I thought the quickest way, the way to fast track getting back to Maz is to start journaling because I'll find her. This might sound a bit weird, but if you do it, you'll understand. That will be my way of getting back to her and figuring out where she is and who she is and what's going on in this person's life who I don't really understand anymore, even though I'm living in her life.
Living in her skin, sure. Yeah.
Living in her skin. So that's why, I every day for 31 days and also like love a challenge. So like add on an extra challenge and that works for me because I don't like failing. So I was like, okay, I'll stop drinking and I'll write in my journal. So I had a thing to do every day other than not drink, if that makes sense. Because when you quit drinking, it's funny because people are like, is it hard? I'm like, well, you just have to do one less thing. So if you look at it that way, it should be easy. But adding one thing in for me to actually physically do gave me control, and I'm a control freak. So I was like, well, this gives me control and a bit of power in this moment. So I'll do day 1 to 31 of journaling. And there were definitely days where I would be like, I don't even want to journal. Like, whose stupid idea was journaling? You know, like I would write down. But I just wrote it all down and I closed the book every day and I just left it. And then a few months later, I went back and I read the journal. This was after I kind of got past my birthday in March the 2nd. And I was like, oh, this sobriety thing is going really well. I think I'm like, no, this is pretty good. Maybe I'll get to June. Let's see. And I think it was probably around that time that I realized, okay, we're definitely going for a year. Like this is going well. I'm loving this now. But also the novelty started to wear off then too. And I was like, this is getting hard because there's so many feelings. But then I went back to that journal and I started reading it and I was just like, oh my God, she's so broken. And I just had this like snapshot of this girl who I was like, shoot, I should have been kinder to her and more compassionate. And she was just having such a bad time and it wasn't even her fault. And then alcohol. And like, it was weird. It was like I had all this empathy for this person. And then I realized that she was me and she was evolving and she was getting herself out of that massive ditch down in that huge dark hole she'd been in for a long time. So journaling gets my tick of approval.
Yeah, big time. You emphasize that in the book. Everyone needs to journal.
It's a superpower.
At least the first 30 days, right? At least.
It is a superpower and I still do it to this day. Like I'm doing a bit of a gratitude journal at the moment because I had a bad attitude last year for a while, Hamish. So I was like, you know what? That bad attitude of mine, I'm going to own that and I'm going to try and be more grateful for things. So I went to Kmart because that's where I shop these days because I'm a mum, and I got this gratitude journal and all I'm doing is writing one thing. So some days I'm like, oh, but there's so many things to choose from that I'm grateful for. And then other days I'm sitting there and I'm like chewing the end of the pencil and I'm like, what am I grateful for today? Because my family are driving me insane and work was really crap, you know. But if you can, I'm finding one thing each day just to be grateful for, and that's helped my bad attitude.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've done a gratitude book since November 11th, 2021.
Oh, wow.
So before I went sober, I do one sentence. Really
just one
satisfying
sentence.
book. It's 31 lines. So like
yes.
the month fits.
So you're a bit OCD, aren't you?
More than I think I realised. Like the fact that it's 31 lines,
it's
I
probably
enjoy.
10% OCD.
I enjoy how it fits on a page way more than I care to admit.
Okay.
And like if it's more than one point, like I've got to really choose my words here.
Oh wow, I love that though because that's a challenge to like be concise.
But then the days where it's really hard to choose something and you go like hyper minute, actually those are the days that I most enjoy reading back. You're like, you know what, like there was a nice smell on my way to work. Like that.
Okay. You were really reaching.
Yeah, exactly. It was a shit day at work. But I enjoyed being back. I
really
do.
like that. That would, I get the whole 31 lines thing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Well, you should see my pantry. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, you've spoken at length about the whole minimalist thing. You've inspired me to like watch a lot of TV shows and get into that.
Yeah, and that was another thing. Like early on in sobriety, I was like so bored. What do I do? So I did watch a fair bit of TV, but I made it TV that I was going to benefit from, like almost edutainment, right? So I was like Marie Kondoing, and then now the home edits around, and that's amazing. Like, so I definitely went through a bit of a minimalism thing because I was like, I have so much stuff, and I probably bought that to fill the void of feelings too. So let's get rid of that whole entire room full of shoes, Maz. You don't need that many shoes, okay?
I feel like we've got two big things in common, you and I. We love to talk.
Yes.
Good, because it's our job. And I feel like we both love people's stories.
Yeah.
You created a podcast off the back of people's stories.
I did.
I heard a fascinating quote this week, which was, we teach that which we most need to learn.
Oof.
What do you feel like you got out from inviting sober people onto a podcast to sort of share their stories?
Do you know what I called the podcast Last Drinks because I wanted to do something in the sobriety space. And I think a lot of people get to a point where they're like, I want to give back. I want to pass it on. I want to encourage other people, right? So I was like, what do I do? And I thought, well, let's assess this skill set. What do I do best? I'm like, I'm in a radio studio every day and I talk a lot. I'm like, let's do a podcast, right? But I called it Last Drinks because I really believe that your last drink is the start of your sober self, right?
Yes.
So I'm like, that's a really crucial moment in someone's life. So I was like, what if we start the story there? When was your last drink? And then we can go back and figure out how we got to the last drink. And then we can come forward and we can reflect on how things have been since the last drink. So I guess for me personally, it was so I didn't feel alone because every time I spoke to someone on the podcast, whether they were, a David Campbell who we see on TV every single day and he's Mr. Entertainment and he's had a huge struggle and he's been sober for a really long time, or it's Janet English from Spiderbait who you've seen on stage doing like crazy, crazy, crazy stuff and she's been sober the whole time, which I had no idea. Or it's my friend Libby who I used to do yoga with, right? Like those three people have all had this moment where they're like, that was my last drink. And hearing those stories just validated my story. And not that I had a moment where I was like, I'm going to drink again, but it definitely kept me from not even going close to that. Like if you're looking at a pendulum swing, I'm like, we've not even come close to that because I have these other inspiring stories around me. We're building this little community of people who have done what I've done. And so I felt less alone in it.
It's a beautiful podcast.
Oh, thanks.
We were very lucky to be on it ourselves.
You were my first duo, which I loved. That was really great.
You do well. It's never easy interviewing two people at once. Like, one of the reasons that we do one-on-one interviews rather than two-on-one interviews is because it can be uncomfortable. Like, I don't know who's next to speak. We interrupt each other.
I know. And it was on Zoom too, which adds another layer. But you guys are great.
Thank you. Well, Vic also lives under a flight path, which makes all audio recording at her house
fun.
Interesting. I do just want to finish by saying this, Maz, which is that without knowing it, you have always felt like a part of our team at Sober Awkward. We've been on your podcast. You've hosted events of Vic's book launch. So many of our listeners find your podcast and vice versa. You're one of our most requested guests here in Oz. And I've always felt as if you, Vic, and I are on the same side, trying to help anyone struggling with alcohol to make a change. Your personality and positivity inspires people not only in person, but through your podcast and radio show and through the written word. Thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for being on our podcast.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. It's been a long time coming, and I really appreciate it. And I love what you guys do. I think your reach is huge, and I love it's. Do you know what I love, I think, the most about you and Vic and myself is that we do manage to somehow inject humour into a very dry topic. And I think that that's really necessary, and it's a really difficult dance to dance, but because you want to entertain people, but you also want to help people at the same time. And I just love you guys for pursuing that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being on.
If you're questioning your relationship with booze, you're struggling to moderate, or your hangovers are causing anxiety, it might be time to reach out for some support.
Yeah, just talk to a mate about how you're feeling, contact a local doctor, find an AA or sobriety group. Vic's got one.
Yeah, just head to www.acast.com cuppa.community.
Remember, if you're questioning yourself, it might be time to seek support.
Even though this journey can be awkward, it is definitely worth it. And if you've enjoyed the Sober Awkward podcast, don't forget to review it, rate it, and share it with your mates.
They have to share it with their mates?
Yeah, of course they do. I'm not doing this for nothing, Hamish. Bloody hell.
How do they share it?
I don't know, just write it on the document.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Wix. It's where website creation meets AI and where your boldest ideas become real. It just takes one platform to build a site that looks great and does everything you need it to. And it just takes one person, you, to start taking care of business like a 10-person team. With AI tools for creating an entire website from scratch or testing new ways to make money, Wix is there with you from day one. Try it out now at Wix.com.
Hey everybody, it's Babs. You know, one thing that makes the holiday season so magical is the traditions we share year after year. And that's why I'm so excited to tell you about Birch Lane. Their classic furniture and festive decor is carefully crafted to bring joy to every seasonal celebration. Plus, it's delivered fast and free, so you can start spreading the holiday cheer. Shop my hand-picked Birch Lane collection and more classic styles at birchlane.com.
So, as you probably know, my comedy memoir, 1,000 Wasted Sundays, is officially out. All my magnificent fuck-uppery in one awkward hit. If you'd like to get your hands on a copy, it's now available from all good bookstores.
We always say all good bookstores, don't we?
Yeah.
Are there bad bookstores?
No, it's probably ones with moody sellers.
Oh yeah, really
Yeah.
depressed librarian folk.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah. So there are probably some, but we're only storing it in the good ones.
It's only made it into the goodies.
You can also get it from all good online retailers. The print version and ebook are out now, and the audiobook will be available in March. I've been writing my memoir for 5 years. It will make you laugh, cry and cringe, and hopefully inspire a few people to reconsider their relationship with booze. If you love the podcast, then I think you'll love the book, even if I do say so myself. Hamish has read it. What did you think?
I feel like I know a little bit too much about you now, to be honest, Vic. Look, I really loved it. It was hilarious and surprisingly moving, but I feel like I've seen you naked in a literary sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's worrying.
Yeah. From an emotional point of view, seriously, it wobbled my teeny weeny wooden heart, Vic.
Okay.
My teeny little wooden heart.
Well, his wooden heart is broken. Anyway, so if you do manage to get your filthy mitts on a copy, please do me a favour and head to goodreads.com and give me a review. Doing that will help me get it out there to those that need a bit of sober support. So there you have it, my story, unwanted warts and all. Come and get awkward with me.
Not to be too demanding or anything, but seriously, go and buy it
Yeah,
now.
go and buy it right now.
Yeah, don't just tell your friends, buy it, and then buy your friends one or two.
Yeah, don't give them a copy, buy it. Yeah.
And you know what? Don't be careful where you store it. If you lose it, you can always buy another 5.
Buy another one.
Yeah.